Okay, first I want to show you this beautiful jacket from the '92 Olympic Games that Jon Normile donated. And with it we have a plaque showing his 3 national titles and his world championship teams. He also donated his warm-up suit. We have the jacket up there hanging. And in addition to that, right next to him, Cliff Bear's Olympic jacket from the '96 Games. And 2 ties, one from the '96 Games, one from the 2000 Games. And here you see the '96 Games, his tie standing next to Felicia Zimmerman. After that, I have a ton of interesting masks going back to the 1870s. And you can see I have them just all over the club and in cases. And these masks at the time, you could get them with forehead pieces for an extra 50 cents. And then there were earpieces, they called them. And if you wore the whole thing, they called it a helmet. But basically, these were face masks. And they're considered, a lot of people think they look amazingly skimpy. But it was considered that if you hit the face, that was very blue collar, very crude. So it was considered that society people would never scrape your face, even as ridiculous as that might sound. Over here, Joe Pechinsky, who one year he was coaching, all 3 women on the U.S. Olympic team were his foilists. And he coached for absolutely no money, would take no presents of any kind, taught for free. And he was the coach at the Tanner City Fenchers Club in Peabody, Massachusetts. He also was a famous mural artist. And normally at tournaments, he said nothing but stood in the background, and he was always known as the coach in black. And this is the leather jacket that he would wear. And we have that on display for Joe. He's, of course, a member of the Hall of Fame. The next one, we have Jason Rogers' warm-up suit, and above it, his Olympic outfit. This is from the 2004 Games. And the 2004 Games is where the team did extremely well, but they ended up in 4th place. But then in the 2008 Games, the Sabre team took the silver medal, and that's a picture of Jason Rogers. And of course, he was an incredible young fencer. At the age of 14, he earned his A rating at a national circuit event. Over here, we have a couple of very interesting items. Dave Micahnik, who has entered the Hall of Fame last year, this is a saber that he taught with for 25 years. It was handmade for him by another Hall of Famer, former Penn coach and his coach, Lajos Cizar. So this is a wonderful item. We made this kind of interesting display for it. And here's a national saber champion, and George Postgate. He was the national saber champion. He was only 5'5", and he later went on to coach at the University of Pittsburgh, at Pittsburgh Athletic Club. And here is a cup that his daughter gave to me, and he started fencing because he lived in the Lower East Side, and he was being attacked all the time and held up. So he learned umbrella fighting, which was a big thing to learn around the 1890s to 1910. Became a top umbrella fighter. And then the New York Turnverein, a great German organization, they invited him to fence there, became the national champion. So that's that. And here we have a cup, beautiful cup that was won in 1923 by Harold Marvin Rayner. And Mr. Rayner was in Paris in '23, where he won this, in training for the '24 Olympic Games, which of course were in Paris. He was an incredible fencer and a pentathlete, and he was on the fencing team 1912, 1920, and 1928. And of course 1916 was canceled because of the war. And he had an incredible career. Besides being a writer, he was a linguist, a diplomat, and he was the aide-de-camp to President Wilson, President Harding, and General Pershing, and the military aide to King Albert of Belgium and Crown Prince Olaf of Norway. An incredible guy, and I came up with a photo of him a few years ago. And then over here, last but not least, in this little front section, I have a display for the 6th president of American fencing, Dr. John Randolph Huffman. Dr. Huffman was president of the U.S. Fencing Association during World War II, but he was a 15-time national champion, 15 that is, 6-time saber champion, 7 times 3-weapon champion, 3 times U.S. outdoor champion. And in the Olympics, he was on the 28 Games, the 32 Games, where he played 6th in saber, the 36 Games, and he made the 1940 team, before they canceled the Games. And just to show you, I have one of these incredible medals here. He was the 3-weapon national gold medalist. They would fence a couple touches in foil, a couple touches in épée, and then 3 touches in saber. In beautiful condition. Unfortunately, I had to buy these on the internet and compete with other people. Here's a beautiful medal from the match between the United States and England that we used to have many years ago, in the original box by Robert Stoll Incorporated, not to be confused with the great epee fencer Robert Stull about 80 years later. And that's just an introduction to the opening of my museum, and thanks for paying attention.